Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Fraud Friday, for that matter. It's great to be here on Coleman Report Live. Our great friend Bob is lost in Europe, just teasing. He's over in Europe with some other friends of mine, and they're having a big time. But we're going to have a great show for you today. The first thing we're going to start out with, guys, lending conferences are so important to you as an SBA lender. It's an opportunity to network. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to have fun. In my current university class, I've been explaining one of the objectives I have for my university class on small business lending, Jennifer, is to bring these students to a conference so they can see how exciting
great.
and how big. I'm working on the university to get a donor to pay for these students to come to a conference. And Jennifer is here today to talk about a conference that's so near and dear to my heart. I've spoke at the Mid-America Lenders Conference for about 12 or 13 years, with one COVID year where I missed. And it is an amazing conference. And Jennifer, just tell us it's coming up. I'm excited. I'll be there.
I know, you'll be teaching a session. So amazing response, really out of the gate on all of our conferences this year. This is now the second one that's going to sell out for the year. We've already sold out with our conference in a couple of weeks at Omni Grove Park, the SES BLC. And then this one is no exception. We've got almost 400 people registered already, for a 1st of April conference. And, really only like 20 spots remaining, really, until we're completely sold out. So we do have a few exhibitor-only spaces open. We were able to open up a few spots. So if we do have anybody on the line that's interested in that, that is open, and it probably will go, after this call is over, I imagine. But yeah, we've got a great lineup from headquarters. So John Miller will be there. Nagel and NADCO will be there in person. Just a great lineup overall. And we've got great networking events. As you said, we like to have a little fun too. So we're taking everyone to the zoo. We're going to do a casino night there and feed the giraffes. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, we've got dueling pianos night as a late night meetup. So lots of fun things to do for sure, aside from the learning, of course.
Well, and anybody who's been to a regional SBA lenders conference, since Jennifer got involved, these conferences are rich in content. They're rich in opportunities. John Miller being there. John Miller is the highest ranking career SBA employee, to my knowledge. He used to be my boss many years ago, but John is fantastic. Sometimes John he brings up something new, and I'm looking forward to being at Malk and finding out if John shares something new with us. And Jennifer does such an amazing job. Before we got on, we were talking about last year's Malk, where there was a rodeo, and that was so much fun, guys. It was a great time. But everybody that is able to get in and sign up for Malk. And America East, Jennifer, I have to tell you a quick story about America East, and then I'll let you take it away. When I was working at SBA, I had been to Malk first to speak when I was deputy director, and I walk in and I've got a coat and tie, and everybody at Malk is very relaxed. They've got khaki pants, golf shirts. So I'm going to America East a couple weeks later, and it's not still this way, but at that time I walk into America East and I decide to go golf shirt and khaki pants. And I walk in to speak, Jennifer, and everybody was in a coat and tie. So I learned an important lesson. Each of these conferences are outstanding, but they all have a little different twist to them.
That's true. As you said, I think it's gotten a little away from that, but difference between cultures in the Northeast and Texas for sure. But yeah, this one is Northeast. It's typically held, anywhere, from Maine down to Virginia is kind of the coverage that it has. And this is the first time that we're going to be in New York City. This is a big one. This is kind of a big deal. I think people are ultra excited for this. We've got a great turnout so far. We expect, as I said on the other two, for this to sell out as well. So, sponsorships are still available. Our exhibit hall is already half full. We've got a lot of fun things planned for this one as well. And, attendance ranges from about 4 to 450 on this one as well. They're all pretty much around that size. So, yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, New York City is a great location for a lenders conference. I'm sure this one's going to be fantastic, and some of the activities will be so much fun. But Jennifer, you and your team do such a wonderful job of putting these conferences together. Bob and I, throughout the course of the year, stress the importance of attending these conferences because of the educational opportunities, but also just because you can get together with your fellow lenders and share best practices and ideas, or even share a beverage and just visit. So we're certainly happy to hear about these conferences. And Jennifer, I can't wait to see you. What about Flagel?
So Flagel, that's the last one I've got to talk about today. Not the last for the year, but that's for today. I figure we'll go into September. So September 18th to 20th, that's at our home away from home at the JW Orlando Grand Lakes. Everybody loves this property.
Yes.
We've been doing it this property for many years in a row. And we're still at that early bird rate. So we've got 15 tickets left to sell at that rate, and then it will convert up to the $4.99. So it's a pretty big savings at $100 there if you're able to get one of those tickets as a lender. Again, we expect to sell out of this. It's a Wild West theme this year, so we will have a Wild West casino night and some other fun. Maybe you'll see a mechanical bull there. Not promising, but Lance, I expect to see you on it if it's there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you're going to sign up, lenders, so why not take advantage of the early bird rate? And I have a concern, Jennifer. I keep seeing the word casino in these various conferences. Am I going to be broke when I leave?
Hey, it's fake money. It's fake money. It's all in fun. Prizes, okay. Yes, but yeah, you don't need to spend any of your own money. It's a good time to practice your poker skills.
Well, and again, guys, please take advantage of these conferences. This is probably going to be my 20th year attending SBA lending conferences, and they've meant so much to my career over the years. And I always tell my wife, and Delaney's heard me say this too, I have more friends in other states in the SBA lending industry than I have friends in the community that I live in. So it's a wonderful opportunity to make friends, to learn more about SBA lending, to meet people from headquarters. Jennifer always has a great group from headquarters, and just a good time overall. Thank you, Jennifer.
Oh, it's not just me. Trust me. We've got some great committees and boards that, put on these conferences. So, we're kind of that behind the scenes and logistics, but the committees work really hard at really securing those speakers and finding those relevant topics for the lenders. So if there's something that you guys want to see discussed, please let us know. Email us, info@EventfullyYourz, and let us know what you're wanting to learn in these conferences.
Well, Jennifer's exactly on point. My good friend Jim Kaler, which I know you know Jim, he's been communicating with me about doing a breakout session, him and Chuck Evans and others in the industry. But guys, get excited. These are great opportunities for you. Where do they go, Jennifer, to sign up?
Yeah, so for Flagel, it's flagel.org. For America East, it's americaeast.net. And then for Malk, it's malk-conference.com. So pretty easy.
Guys, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here, and it's great to see you. I hadn't seen you since Flagel last year.
I know.
I look forward to seeing you again in Fort Worth. Thank you so much for being here today. Guys, we're going to jump into Fraud Friday. I know many of you want to know who's doing what, and Delaney is bringing the news. Delaney, tell us a little bit about our good friend Jalen.
I'm happy to be back.
Good friend, but
my favorite day of the week, perhaps not my favorite actions, but here we have Jalen Craig McMillan, and he was an employee at an unnamed bank as a member service representative. And he used his position along with some co-conspirators to open accounts under the names of identity theft victims. Some of these even included bank customers, so he handed over information of customers to further this fraud. They would use this to create information and false identification documents using photos of other people. And so in total, they tried to obtain $400,000, but the bank was able to stop a lot of it, it seems, defrauding over $150,000. And during this trial, it seems like the jury didn't really have a whole lot of deliberating to do. They came to their decision in 90 minutes.
Wow, that's incredible. And you know, I've always said this, Delaney, and it's true when we talk about these fraud stories. Can you only imagine if Jalen had used all that energy and effort to do something good in the institution as opposed to defrauding customers and the bank? Your next story, Delaney, tells us a little bit about Mr. Brian Davey. What did Brian do?
Well, unfortunately, we do have another banker here. He worked for Wells Fargo, and there was a 4-day trial, and he was committing identity theft, I believe, or I apologize. He was taking money from elderly and vulnerable customers. So some of these customers couldn't really speak a lot of English. Some of them had disabilities, so they weren't even fully aware of what exactly was going on with these banking transactions. And so he was using this to access these customer files, make withdrawals and transfers, and he was exchanging cashier's checks so they were small enough to cash without triggering the banking reporting requirements. So he embezzled $1.3 million, and he will be going to jail for almost 4 years, or I should say prison, 42 months.
Well, not only is he going to go to prison, guys, but he's never going to work in the banking industry again after this. So, you know, we've heard these kind of stories over the years, Delaney, about people that try to structure transactions to keep them below the reporting requirements at a bank because banks have specific reporting requirements. It looks like that's what Brian did.
Which I'm quite curious because, so there was 8 victims named, but one of these victims had over $500,000 stolen. So I have to wonder how you managed to break that one down to such a small number.
He basically broke it down into a significant number of smaller transactions to keep it under that. Well, Delaney, not only do we have Brian and others, but now we have a married couple that has committed PPP and idle fraud.
Yes, this time we're moving away from the bankers, and we have David Dodge, now his co-conspirator and wife, Tammy Dodge, seems to be involved, but right now she has a change of plea hearing scheduled for March, so I guess originally she probably pled not guilty and saw the results of this and decided to go ahead and plead guilty. They submitted 30 applications for PPP idle. And then these are new, I haven't heard of them. The New Hampshire Governor's Office for Emergency Relief and Recovery and the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation. So they tried to commit fraud at a number of programs. They were using the social security number of a minor child, actually, to apply for an employer identification number from the IRS. A lot of these companies either weren't active at the time, weren't registered, didn't really have employees or anything, and they tried to obtain $2.5 million, and once again this was a great case where we saw lenders pull through because they only got over $200,000. I say only, $200,000 is still a lot, but in comparison to $2.5 million, they did a great job stopping it.
Well, and I think this must have occurred during the 2020 PPP because he was getting an EIN with a child social security number. He was producing fake payroll reports. This is most likely during the 2020 round of PPP, which financial institutions were involved in that, and they knew their customers, and it's good to hear that they were able to. I mean, this could have been 10 times worse than it was.
Absolutely.
If great lending institutions had not stepped in and stopped this fraud effort on the part of David and his wife, Tammy.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there weren't a lot of super interesting purchases, but I know we always like to hear what they did with the money. They decided to purchase some jewelry.
Jewelry. Well, that's a theme now. Doesn't match up with the guy Chris Roglieri's $2.2 million watch that he acquired, but buying some jewelry. So tell us about the update on Chris Roglieri and the Prime Capital.
Yes, yesterday me and Bob and then Anna Griggs got together to discuss some of the updates with Chris Roglieri. Just as a little taste, the number 52 million, I believe, has actually gone up to 90 million in missing funds. But if you want to hear more, you should go to our YouTube page and watch the update.
Speaking of the YouTube page, you can listen to Coleman Report on YouTube Live. You not only can listen to it on YouTube Live, but on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, you can go to YouTube, type in Coleman Report, and you can watch our episodes. And on that note, I want to say good afternoon to all my University of the Ozarks small business banking students who will be watching this as part of their class. My small business banking students are watching Coleman Report Live every week as part of their class. In fact, everybody on this will appreciate it. Their reading assignment is the SOP 5010 7.1 from beginning to end. And they're reading it in 35-page segments throughout the semester. They're up in the page 300 range now. So
wow.
I just wanted to say hello to my students that will be watching this today.
Yes, hello to all of your students.
We have an upcoming webinar next week. We're going to talk about insurance requirements on an SBA loan and what the SOP 5010 7.1 requires. I'll just share a really brief snippet of a story. Delaney, you remember when I was working at a lender service provider, and when I worked for FDIC, when I was at Deloitte, I had an SBA loan that had went in liquidation. And this SBA loan it was not in liquidation when I got it, but prior to the bank being closed and us taking over the portfolio, the loan had defaulted. Insurance had lapsed. No one had force-placed insurance. I pick up the file and I send out an inspector, and the inspector comes back and tells me that the building's empty except there's some people living in it. Some people had moved in off the streets into this bed and breakfast, and so I moved to force-place insurance. But before I could force-place insurance, guys, they built a campfire inside this hotel property and burned it down. Insurance, and I only tell that story, and we got repaired on the guarantee for the full value of the real estate property because we had not taken care of our insurance requirements. That's just a quick story to say getting the right insurance coverages on your SBA loan is important. This webinar is going to talk about the different types of insurance and what is required to have a good compliant SBA loan. So that's next Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. Please go to ColemanReport.com and sign up for this webinar on insurance coverage on your SBA loans. Well, Delaney, thank you so much for sharing the fraud stories today. It's good to be on here with you. And a thank you to Jennifer for sharing with us important conference information. It's always good to have Jennifer. And a big thank you to Anna and Mike, who are behind the scenes making all this work effectively.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you for being on Fraud Friday, and we'll see you Monday on Coleman Report Live. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.